In tonight's Tax Insider, intellectual property rights and the U.S. economy. Advocates from around the globe just celebrated World IP Day and the role it plays in driving innovation and economic opportunity. But in at least one area, IP is under attack. For more, I'm joined by David Williams, president of the non-partisan Taxpayers Protection Alliance. Dave, let's start with a simple definition. What is intellectual property, or IP for short?
Thanks, Morris. Well, intellectual property refers to any creation of the mind. It could be a song, it could be a poem, it could be a book, but also this phone here contains a lot of intellectual property, and without intellectual property, we wouldn't be able to use phones like this. So this is the importance of intellectual property, and really the importance of World IP Day is recognizing the importance of intellectual property when it comes to economies across the globe.
All right, so what does your area of expertise, Dave, namely tax policy, have to do with IP?
Has a lot to do with it. Now, you wouldn't think that tax policy and intellectual property are that meshed together, but when you talk about piracy and the stealing of intellectual property, what happens is that governments don't get the revenue that is due them, because we're talking about black market goods, whether it's software, movies, phones, you name it. The revenues aren't going to the governments that really should be getting the revenue from the sale. So the black market is sucking billions of dollars out of the economy.
And you find that IP-intensive industries account for more than 40 million jobs in the United States. Protections have come a long way, with one glaring exception: plain packaging. Explain that term.
Yeah, so plain packaging is this really weird thing that governments across the world are doing. What they're doing is they're taking away the branding of products. And in particular, they're doing this with tobacco in Australia. They're going to look to alcohol next, so you have plain packaged alcohol bottles or wine bottles, so you can't tell who's selling you that particular brand. Here's the problem, Morris, and people say, well, Australia, Ireland, why should I care in the United States? We are funding the United Nations at about $600 million a year. And the United Nations, they are promulgating, they are pushing these plain packaging concepts to these countries and encouraging them to do this. Now, the United Nations thinks that if we plain package things like tobacco or wine or fatty foods or candy, people will stop partaking in those. That just doesn't happen. And again, government loses revenue when you have these black market goods. Now, to give you an example, in New York, they raised tobacco taxes in New York, and they've lost $500 million in revenue because of black market sales of tobacco. Now,
wow.
If the United States adopts these plain packaging rules, the same thing could happen. The government could lose billions upon billions of dollars.
Fascinating stuff, and I'm sure a lot of people don't even know about this. All right, Dave, tax day has come and gone, but calls to reform the tax code have not. In fact, one of the world's wealthiest people, Bill Gates, is encouraged by the dialogue. He tells CNBC it's time to raise the capital gains tax. This could be an election year issue. Give us the facts there.
Well, this is crazy. To talk about a tax increase during an election year, or really any time when you talk about tax reform, is ludicrous.
Thank you. I don't understand where he's coming off with this.
If you look at capital gains, it's about 30% in this country, one of the highest in the world. You look at the corporate tax rate, we're at 40%. Again, one of the highest rates in the world. And Morris, what's happening is these companies are leaving the United States. They're going to Ireland that has a 12% corporate tax rate. Canada has a 25%. Now, China has a 23% corporate tax rate. Why would we raise taxes? And just to wrap this up, a few months ago, Bernie Sanders had a list of companies that he said he wanted to pay more if he became president with higher corporate taxes. Well, guess what? That was not a list of companies paying more. That was a list of companies that are going to leave the United States and go to Ireland or other countries. So they have it completely backwards.
All right, before you go, I'd like to spend a moment on Senate Bill 2789, the Tax Simplification Act of 2016. Introduced by Senator Elizabeth Warren, it would amend the IRS code to establish a free online tax preparation and filing service. What do we know about this measure, and will it go anywhere?
Well, there aren't a lot of things that we agree with Senator Warren on. And this isn't one of them, so we're not going to agree with her on this.
Okay.
Because we're already doing this. We already have a free file program that the private sector is working on. 40 million taxpayers a year use a free file system through these companies, and it's saving about $1.3 billion. What Senator Warren wants to do is actually move it into the IRS. So the IRS is actually doing your taxes. Do you want the IRS To do your taxes, Morris?
Just send your money to them.
I mean, the privacy concerns, just everything that's associated with this doesn't make any sense.
They don't have enough people. They've already got Obamacare to worry about. I can't imagine this being a win-win for anybody.
Exactly, and it just increases their power. They're going to ask for more money in the budget, and it's already being done. That's the crazy thing, is that it's already being done, so we don't need to replicate this in an even worse way.
That's odd. The politics of this with Elizabeth Warren, the great liberal that she is, we'll have to have her on, I guess.
She almost has it right. She almost has it right.
Yeah. All right. David Williams, president of the non-partisan Taxpayers Protection Alliance. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.